Now that we've had time to cover just the schema of an entity and a few of the keys and relationships, let's work through a problem. You may pause at any time to answer the questions before I show you the answers. On this problem, we have a Field of Dreams Youth League that needs a database system to help them track all their players. The data needs to be kept on each team, all the players or participants that will be playing on each team and their parents. We also need to keep data on the coaches. So let's look at a few different ways of being able to work with this. Now, we already know that our entities required are going to be a team, a player, a coach, and a parent. The schematics for each entity or the attributes are, for team, we have a team number, a team name, and team colors. If we want to draw a schematic or work at the schema with it, we could list it as a team. And since we have to have a primary key, then all we have to do is signify the one attribute, either by telling it that we want it to be bold, italicize it, underline it, make it different than the other attributes. Now, if we wanted to be able to have a composite key, we could also have team number and identified also by team name. That would give us our composite key. Now, if we look at one such as player, again, player number would most likely be our primary key. But if we wanted a composite or candidate key, then we could also list the first name, the last name, and the age. That could be a key. Then, if any of the others were listed, we would have a composite key or a backup key. Same can go for coach and parent. We could have the coach number and parent number as the primary keys, but then we can also have the names and the phone number for the coach. We could also have the parent last name, first name, and phone number. Now, let's look at the following relationships of each one. A team is going to be related to a player because a player has to be on a team, and a team is made up of any players. A team is related to a coach because a coach coaches a team. A team has many coaches or only one coach. Then we have our players and our parents, where we have a player can have many parents and a parents can have many players. Now let's look at setting up just the relationships, and before we go into Visio, let's look at one that we can set up just as the entities and drawings. Now again, we've already got the parent, the player, the coach, and the team. And the relationships we can have a parent has one-to-many, player one-to-many. So a player can have many parents, and a parent can have many players. Now when we start looking at the players and the teams, then we start looking at as a fact that a team only has, or excuse me, a player only has one team. However, a team can have many players. Same thing goes for the coach. And a team. A team can have many coaches. But a coach can only have one team. Now, notice that our lines are solid. When we're doing these drawings, that indicates a strong entity. Notice that a team and a player cannot exist. A player cannot exist without a team, which is an indicator of a weak entity. A coach cannot exist without a team, which is again an indicator of a weak entity. So we need to make these two solid lines into dotted lines to indicate weak. Also, when we look at the parent to player, notice that we have a many-to-many relationship. Those are relationships that we should try and signify as how can we make it to where it's only a one-to-many or a one-to-one relationship. Now, parents registers players. So what we can do is we can add an entity in between that a parent only registers one at a time and a player only registers or has one at a time. So we can have a has relationship between the parent, a registers entity, and a player and a registers entity. In here, a team includes players. A team is coached by a coach. Now that we have these signified, take a moment to go through some of the further information, and then we will extend this particular problem into Visio and further go over and alter our issues.